So, Lucas, what is currently your biggest time waster?
I would honestly say, I hate to confess this, but I'm going to confess it. It's probably my phone.
Mm. Is there any like specific app or anything on your phone, or is it just like dinking around on your phone in general?
I would just say, like, I got bad enough that I had to get this thing called Brick. I
Yeah,
would highly recommend it, getting that if you are someone that just, you know, when you have available time, you just go on social media.
yeah, yeah.
So there's this app that I mean, there's this literally this thing called Brick. You get it. Uh,
So
you
it's a physical
It's
device.
a physical product, right?
Yeah.
And you tap it against your phone, and then it locks you out of everything.
Okay.
So you leave the brick at home, and you take your phone with you. And your phone's basically just a dumb phone.
Yeah.
Uh, but it would say I've caught myself, and that's why I got this tool
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help me with that. But probably social media. Yeah.
Yeah. I I just this morning I caught myself. This doesn't happen very often. I would say for sure, like social media is probably the thing that sucks me in more than other things. But it's pretty rare for me to be like, oh wow, I just wasted a significant amount of time on that. And this morning, you get on Facebook, it pops up reels every once in a while,
Yeah.
and almost every time I see that, I'll click the little thing and say, "Shit, I do not interested in this. Show me less of this or whatever." It never actually does it, but I like got sucked in and spent like 20 minutes watching reels in my car. I was like waiting.
Oh,
Had finished some stuff at one location, needed to go to another location, and was like flipping through with the intent of it being like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, I looked at the clock. I'm like, that was just 15 minutes. How did that even happen?
yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, this stuff is powerful.
We are we're humans, and we're not perfect at all.
Hmm.
And this is something that I've really tried. Um, really figure out the best way for me to, like, all right, I want to be effective, and I want to make sure that I'm stewarding my time well. And social media has probably been the biggest struggle for me, and over the years has gotten better, of course,
Yeah,
but still there's those times where it's like, oh, what, geez, that was 20 minutes, that was 15 minutes
yeah,
there.
right,
You
right.
just catch yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, which was a long time ago now. I've probably told this story on the previous episode, but there's a guy who lived next to me in the dorms who was struggling. We were talking over lunch one day. He was talking about how difficult his classes were and how he was struggling to get a passing grade. This is like towards the end of the semester. And we talked about that at lunch, went our separate ways. And then we crossed paths again a few hours later. And he was like, dude, have you played I think it was Call of Duty. I don't know, forget which one it was. He's like, have you played the new Call of Duty? It came out earlier that week and he was all excited about it. This was like Wednesday, maybe Thursday in the week. It had come out on Monday, or whatever, the start of the week. And he's like, yeah, I've already played 45 hours. And I was kind of in my mind, I don't think I said this out loud, but in my mind, I'm like, he just does not even see the connection between these two things, struggling in class and playing 45 hours in 1 week of a video game. uh, so, like there's stuff that is very clearly, scrolling through social media mindlessly, playing video games for 45 hours a week.
Yeah.
Those are, I feel like, kind of clear things where it's like, oh, that's not a great use of my time. The here, Let me put this scripture before us. We can kind of talk about it a little bit. This is, in my mind, one of the more convicting scriptures when it comes to the use of time. This is Paul writing in Ephesians 5. This is verse 15 through 17. He says, look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. What are your first thoughts hearing that?
I think about, this life is just a vapor, right? And James talks about, it's like,
Yeah, it's passing quickly.
it's so fast, right? And you hear the saying, like, don't waste it, don't waste it, don't
Yeah.
waste it, right? And then you look at Ecclesiastic, it's like everything is meaningless underneath the sun, right? And then Proverbs says, if you do good things. So, and then you
Yeah.
look at Job's story. So I think of all that and just say, all right, there's a reason why you're here. The Lord has a plan for your life. He wants to use you, and he invites you into that plan that he has for you.
Yeah.
But the hard part is surrendering my agenda, my ways, what I want,
Yeah.
to step into that, right? Because that's so much. When you step in that feels, you feel the fear,
Yep.
you feel discomfort, you feel persecution sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You will feel persecution.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just there's no control, right? So it's easy for us to do the things that our flesh desire.
Yeah, well, that's like the easiest route to
Oh.
go. Like, oh, I'm just going to open my phone and start flipping through whatever it shows me.
Exactly. It's that's a lot easier
Mm-hmm.
than being led sometimes. But what the Lord wants us to do in our lives, being led by Him, right? So it's that's, I just think about that surrendering everything towards Him,
Yeah.
right? And doing that well includes your time too, includes your finances, includes everything you have is not yours. So
I think fundamentally the two most like relevant factors in your life that are going to tell you what you value, what you love, what you actually care about are your time and your money.
Yeah.
Right. Because what you're those are the resources you have outside of your energy, and usually your time is also tied up with your energy and your focus. So where those are going
reveals what you truly believe.
Yeah, yeah, and in that passage that Paul sets up, the tension there is okay. It's that first thing that stands out to me in that is he says because the days are evil. So here's the context you're functioning in. You're functioning in a negative world. The days are evil. So you have a choice. Either you're going to use your time wisely, don't waste your time, make the best use of your time, or you're going to use your time foolishly or waste your time. And which kind of seems to the setup there is like there's not necessarily a neutral gear when it comes to how you're using your time. It's either it's wise or it's foolish. It's not just like that's okay. I spent the evening doing nothing and it wasn't bad or good. It was whatever. Doesn't seem to be an option in the way that Paul's setting the contrast up in that verse.
Well, this podcast is all about friendship.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about time right now?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that goes back to what we were just saying about your time and your money. Where those are going tells you a significant amount about what you love, what you care about. So if your time, and we'll set aside money because that's not what this episode's about. We'll do. Have we done any episodes on money before?
I don't know.
We should. If we haven't, we should. We'll have to look back on that. But your time is going to tell you what you value. And if you say that you value friendships and relationships, but instead what you're doing is sitting at home scrolling on your phone, that's a statement about what you actually value.
And as you hear this though too, it's like, say what's true, right? So like what is true? So if you value friendships, but you're spending time on Netflix, you're spending time at home, or you're spending time like, I'd rather be alone than be with my friends, or rather I'm just too tired. So it's just like, it's you and you.
Yes.
And you spend a lot of time on you. And this is not this like not serving my friends or not being there for my friends when things are hard or when they're going through something, or just like when things I don't want to go.
Yeah.
If I don't even want to go, or
it's almost always easier to not do things.
Exactly.
And usually, if you have friends, engaging with them, relating to them, takes some level of energy.
I can be a selfish person.
Yeah.
And there's so much that's been exposed in my life in a lot of areas. And the times that I've seen how selfish I am is the times that when I needed to be there for someone else and I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what do you do with that? Right? It's like, we're not trying to shame anyone here. It's like, okay, the Holy Spirit's convicted you. What do you do with that? Right?
Yeah.
Well, turn away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Turn to the Lord. And then if there's asking for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness, right? Then step into whatever the Lord's calling you after that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so much easier to serve me than to serve others.
Yeah. And I think fundamentally that's the filter for what is a wise use of your time, or the best use of your time, as to use the words Paul uses in that Ephesians passage, versus the foolish use of your time. The filter you need to say is the thing I'm choosing to do, is this about indulging myself and getting what I want? Is it driven by self-love, or in which case it's a foolish use of time?
Yeah.
Or is it driven by love for God or love for the people around me? In which case it's a good use of your time, the best use of your time. There's going to be times where it is probably a good use of your time to sit and play video games, or to take some time and scroll around on social media, because that's not an inherently evil thing to do that. But where it can become dangerous and unhealthy and a waste of time is when it's, like we were talking about, mindless. You're kind of just getting sucked in and carried along, which is essentially you're just indulging yourself and taking the easiest route, whatever is most pleasurable in the moment. I'm going to follow that path, which social media has gotten really good at feeding you things that will keep you satiated while you're looking at it.
Well, it's that dopamine hit too.
That's right.
So, one of the other ways you can measure where you're spending your time on, like, how comfortable are you in your life right now? I think comfort's something that we can always. The Lord does not call us to be comfortable. He calls us to have faith and to pursue Him, right? All of our hearts, all of our mind, all of our strength, right? And to do that, to love Him and to love His people. And sometimes to love someone can cost you,
Totally.
right? And something that costs you is not comfortable.
Yeah. So let's. I think it might be helpful to do this. Let's talk about what are some things that we can think about as categories of, okay, this is stuff that in general is going to be a not great use of my time. This is stuff that in general is going to be a wise or best use of my time.
Okay, you go first.
I think. Well, we've already been talking about this one. I think it's always going to be a good use of your time to serve other people around you, to do good for the people around you. Like my wife and I were just texting before I came over here. We got some friends who are moving tomorrow morning, and we've had a full couple weeks. And I was kind of like, man, I don't really want it. Like, they're good friends. They'll probably have enough people, but I don't want to. I want to just kind of assume that they're going to have enough help, and conveniently, then I can stay at home. I don't have to worry about going anywhere tomorrow. But as I was praying about it, and my wife and I were texting about it, she's like, no, we should go help. They helped us move when we moved. And so I messaged them and said, hey, I can come for a couple hours. It's going to be a limited amount of time, because I want to have the majority of a day to chill with my family, because we haven't done that for a couple weeks, and play with the kids and all that stuff. But in general, I think it's always going to be a good use of your time to serve and do good to the people around you.
Should you serve someone always, do you think? What about,
like, are you asking, like, are there ever times where you should say no to serving people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, one of those times.
I think a lot of it comes down to, this goes back to the motive factor, is what's driving your motivation to do that. Is it, like, if you're going to serve someone else out of a motive of, ooh, I want other people to think I look good, or, ooh, I'm afraid if I don't do this, other people are going to look down on me. Right? In Romans, 14, 15? Somewhere around there, the Apostle Paul, there's a little statement that says, anything that does not come from faith is sin. So if you're doing something out of fear or out of a desire for approval or other things, that's not faith. In which case, probably better to not do that.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll give an example for this friend. If I was going tomorrow, like, if I was not myself and I was hearing myself talk about this, and the motive that was in my heart was, ooh, if I don't go help them move, then they're going to not be my friends. That'd be a bad motive to go do it. Now, does that mean I shouldn't go help them? Not necessarily, but it does mean I need to say, okay, check what's going on in my heart. Why am I believing that our friendship is based on, or the quality of our friendship is based on doing stuff for one another?
And there's this constantly, you get these lies, right? Or there's lies from the enemy, or the lies of your flesh, or again, the lies of these world, right? So, like, don't ever, make sure your motive is not fear, right? But also, I think there's something about doing something even when it doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Or doing something when the best times, actually, the hardest times in my life, when I was going through something hard, and the seasons I was going through something hard, the way I got out of that is not focusing on that thing, but focusing whatever I'm doing for someone else.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's helped.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, and in that case, what you're doing is you're taking the focus off yourself and putting it on those other people, or those people you're serving, or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you were going to do those things, like let's say I come back to this moving analogy. Let's say I go tomorrow and help these friends move, and all I'm thinking about the whole time is, are they seeing me? Look at how like good I'm carrying this heavy box, or whatever.
I mean, Scripture.
Then you're focused on yourself.
Yeah, and Romans also talks about, it's like if you do anything, again, like you just highlighted, it's like your reward is. I mean, I think it's in Matthew how like your reward is full
in heaven.
Yeah, it's either you're storing treasure in heaven, or if you do something, it's like don't even let your left hand know or your right hand know that you're doing that, right? So there's something about just doing it, but it's like if you do it to get noticed, if you do it to, hey, you owe me, if you do it all that, then yeah, you got your full reward there, even if you do it.
Yeah.
So
another thing that comes to my mind in thinking about categories of what's a good use of time, what's a not good use of time, it goes back to Genesis and the fact that God created humanity with purpose for work, and He set aside a day of Sabbath. So both of those things are necessary in our walk with Jesus. We need work, and the majority of our time is meant to be used for work. That's what we're created for. But there's also rest. That rest is not necessarily the majority of the time, but that is, in the Genesis story, Adam and Eve are created, and then God invites them to Sabbath. So they get created, they get given the big job of like, hey, now you're in charge of this whole world. But the very first thing God does on the seventh day is take a day of rest. And so it begins with rest, and then they move into the work. So even though the work piece in a typical week is usually quantity-wise is more, the rest is also fundamental. So I think that's a crucial thing to think about when we're thinking about, am I using my time well, is do I have a healthy biblical balance of work and rest? In the American culture, we probably tend to swing a little bit too hard on the work side and cut out the rest side. But I know plenty of people who are Americans, and this happens in other countries in the world, where we may swing too far to the rest side of things and like dilute the work side of things. So I think that's an important thing to think about when you're saying, am I using my time well? Do I have both of those things in a healthy biblical balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. Am I using my time well, right? If I'm, the other thing you have to think of, right? This other side of like, all right, yes, fill those things, like serve others, right?
Yep.
You get to choose that. There's not a lot of things you can control in this world, right? But what you want to focus on requires your time, right?
Yeah.
So fill the things that bring glory to the Lord, right? And that honors others, right?
Yes.
So like one of the things you can do is like, all right, like for the last 4.5 years, I've been getting together with 5 guys in my life, and we've been doing life together. And there's commitment time on a Monday. We're going to get together, whatever that looks like. And have we done that perfectly? No, but we've put that in our calendar. We've put that down to say, all right, this is what we're going to commit to. So I'm saying commit to things. Since you're stewing your time, like commit to things. Fill up your time with things that, again, that honor the Lord, but also honors others too, right? So you can do good things with your time, right? Stand for the things that the Lord is asking you to stand for, right? Fight for the things that the Lord is asking you to fight for, right? So it's like, and that's your time. And it also helps you filter the things that you need to say no to, right? But sometimes I think we like, oh, I'm going to just wake up today and do whatever I want to do, right? So it's like, I don't think you're stewing that's a foolish way to steward your time, right?
Yeah, don't, this is easier to do when you're younger in life, particularly in like your college year, or it's easy to just kind of do what you're saying and sort of just flow, like, oh, whatever comes up, I've got work at this time, and then whatever I feel like doing at that hour after I get done with work, I'm going to do that. And yeah, that's a foolish way to use your time when, just like Paul says in that Ephesians 5 passage, the days are evil. Make the best use of your time. To make the best use of something is not going to happen unintentionally. Like if you want to be the best football player, you got to put in work. If you want to be the best at anything, it takes structure, practice, intentionality. So if you're going to make the best use of your time, there's some work involved and probably practice involved in being able to do that. And it's not going to happen if you just wake up each morning and say, well, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
It requires some thought and focus and saying, okay, this is the direction that we need to go, and we're going to work in that direction.
I think it's also frustrating too, and I've done this to others, but and I've learned this. I push just against. One of my buddies, he would say, "All right, hey, we should plan something this week. We should do something, right?" I'd ask him, "We should do this." It's like, well, something else might come up, so let's just be available. Like that is one of the frustrating things when people do that. And
some of that's personality types, but yeah. It is. Yeah, I think that's a valid.
And it's like, don't do that. I think that's just, if you're gonna commit to something, commit to it. If no, it's no, right?
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes it's like, oh, something else might pop up.
Mm-hmm. I for sure see that in local stuff that I do ministry-wise with college students and young adults, and talking with college pastors around the country. Is that kind of mindset has skyrocketed in the last 5-10 years, where more and more people, the default response is essentially maybe. Essentially, I'll be there if I feel like it when the time comes. It's more and more rare to have people who are actually going to, like you're saying, commit and follow through. Say, I will put this on my calendar. I will be there.
And that, again, as we say this, we're also talking to ourselves here. I'm talking to myself. But Jesus does say yes to yes. And say,
let your yes be yes.
And let your no be no's, So, but yeah, do not be someone that just like, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and to use your time well requires, as we were saying, intentionality, but it also requires knowing what the direction is that you're meant to be. Like, what's my time for? What's the purpose of it? And the reality is, you can't do everything. Mm-hmm. As you grow older, you have more pressures added onto you. You need to realize that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And that, I think, is the danger of like social media and all the stuff that falls under the category of entertainment. Is we tend to not think about what that's costing us. We tend to not think about the things we're saying no to when we're saying yes to just opening up my phone and scrolling through for 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think, as we're talking, I just think about like men in this world, right? It's like, we're called to lead, right? We're called to, some of us are married, some of us are not. Especially if you're married, you're called to lead, right? Yeah. And if you are not married, this is a season for us to get ready to lead, mm-hmm. right? And man, if you are, I'm not against gaming, I'm not against any of this stuff, but it's like, just be aware of what you're spending your time on and track that. And you don't have to, and if there's conviction there, don't stay in it. Yeah. You can do something about it, right? Yeah. And like, I think we always have to be aiming towards something, like the way you can know where you know, it's like, here's where I want to go. Here's what my time looks like. What do you do? Mm-hmm. Right? So, but the Lord leads, and we all have different gifts. We all have a different calling, what the Lord's asking us to do, right? It's like, it looks different. So whatever that is, I promise you, if you step into that, even with so much unknown, God's going to use it all for your good and his glory.
Let's end with this. I'll give you 2 practical things that I think are really helpful to do if you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, I think I'm wasting a lot of my time. One, this one's probably more helpful if you're someone who's got like a full plate where you're juggling a lot of different things and you're kind of like, I don't know, where exactly is my time going? Am I wasting my time? Is actually track your time.
Oh, actually you say that. Great. That's a great insight. Do that. Because one of the things I started doing was I have a logbook. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty excited about this, actually. So I've been overwhelmed with just all the stuff that's going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got multiple business stuff. You got all sorts of things going on.
Overwhelmed, right? And I tell people I'm overwhelmed, but I can't pinpoint why I'm overwhelmed, right? So one of the things I did was like, all right, I'm going to just track everything I do for this 2 weeks.
Yep.
I don't care if I'm going to a meeting. I don't care if I'm going to a call. I don't care if I'm meeting with a friend. I don't even care if I'm texting someone, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to track everything I do, right? And then you look back, it is crazy to say, wow, like we need to work on this. We need to work on that, right? So like tracking your time will show you exactly. Sometimes the answer you're looking for, why am I overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Will give you that answer.
Totally. Yeah. And I think what you're doing there is exactly what I would recommend is take a 2-week block, track your time. I think you can get more granular than this, depending on how much data you want. But I think if you're tracking it in like 20 to 30 minute blocks and just here's the main thing I did in those 20 minutes, that's going to give the average person enough detail to get a sense of here's what I'm doing. Again, you can get more granular than that, but you track that, that's going to tell you a lot about what are you actually using your time on. And I do that about once a year. It's really helpful. There's been some years where I'm like, oh, actually, I'm doing better than I thought I was at putting my priorities first. Other years, I'm like, oh man, like I did not realize I was doing 15 hours a week on that. I thought it was like 3. So that's a great practice to have. The other thing, this is tied into that, is I think it's really helpful to like list out what are my roles and my priorities, or roles and goals would be another way to say that. Like write out, here's all the roles that I have in my life. I'm a friend, I'm a parent, I'm a son, I'm a daughter, I'm a college student, I'm a employee. Write out those roles, write out what are some of the top 1 or 2 goals that you want, or things you want to do in those roles, because that's going to help you think about what do I actually need to prioritize. And if these are the things I want to do, I need to use my time well, which means I need to actually be using my time to accomplish some of these things. And I think that's really helpful if you're more at a stage where you're like, I don't necessarily have an overly full schedule, but am I using my time well? How do I do that? That roles and goals stuff can be really helpful.
Yeah. We just thank you for listening to this podcast, friend. And man, we're all going to give an answer one day. And may the answer that we give reflect the will that he had for us in this world. Yeah. And so steward your time well. And you don't have to stay where you're at, but also do whatever the Lord's asking you to do. And share that with your friends. Ask them to help you in that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do this alone. Again, we thank you for listening. We love you. If this podcast was helpful to you, share it with your friends and hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Hey friend, thanks for listening. We're all about equipping you to pursue real friendships. You were not created to be alone, because life is just better with real friends. Let's get started.